no bake cheesecake. And I can tell you it's already finished. And essentially the concept of eating something that is not baked or that is raw, in a sense, is because you're preserving essentially all of the antioxidants, all of the phytonutrients that is in the food, right? And why is it significant to do that? Anybody remember? Why do we want to preserve our nutrients in our food? I'm not sure if I should go this way or that way. Kind of. Which one's better for you guys? This is good right there? Okay. Yes. This is the stage. All right. Over there? I guess over there too. Oh, I'll just walk all over the place. All right. So, not an issue. We will work with it. I don't mind walking around. All right. So first, I'd like to start with a word of prayer. We want to welcome our visitors. If this is your first time, welcome. I am also a visitor. I live in the state of Missouri, originally from New York, and we live currently in the country of Missouri. We love it. We're on 45 acres. We have our own creek. We have our own well, and we grow our own food. So everything we grow comes from the ground. Every once in a while, we need to go to the store to pick up things, but for the most part, we try to stay as natural as possible. And that is what we're going to be talking about today, okay? So, all right, let us have a quick word of prayer, and then we can invite the Lord to be with us this afternoon. Father in heaven, we thank you for those who have come. Please be with the class as we begin, and give us your understanding, we pray in Christ's name. Amen. So if you see the way that everything is set up, you're going to have to take notes, write down some of the ingredients yourself, okay? So first of all, we looked at the principle of food or eating in the Bible. Are there principles of eating in the Bible? Yes. Do we find them? So yes, we do. It is all over. In fact, this is one of them. This is found from the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verses 1 and 2, which says, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, do what? Consider what? Diligently what is being placed before you. So I'm a practical guy. We can talk about theory all the time. You know, I went to school and there's a lot of theoretical knowledge, but not very practical knowledge. I tend to be more practical. So what does that look like? Is what we're going to show you today is what it looks like to actually consider diligently what is being placed before you. Does anybody know what that means? Huh?
What kind of food we're going to be eating.
Yeah.
What's there.
Yeah. And why is it important to consider? So let's put it like this. The food that we eat, first of all, what is the first place the food hits?
Our mouth.
Somebody says the nose. The first place it hits is the nose, right? It hits your mouth. And then in your mouth, you have various enzymes that helps you, especially starches. It begins to help you digest the food. Goes down the esophagus. What is the next spot that it hits? The stomach. In the stomach, we have what is in the stomach to help digestion? Acid. What is the pH level? Give or take. It's pretty low. It's on the acidic side, right? And this acid in the stomach, typically what do we do when we eat? We eat and drink at the same time. Let's just do some very basic thinking, right? The Bible is also a thinking man's religion. The Bible tells us in the book of Isaiah 118, come now let us what? Reason together. What happens if I take acid and I dilute it with water or juice? If I dilute it, what happens to it? Anybody? Huh? It becomes non-acidic, but ultimately it is not as effective of an acid. Is that right? And so when we dilute the acid with liquid, juice, right? Drinking and eating at the same time, what we end up doing is we end up hindering the digestive process. Now, it still happens, but it doesn't happen as well as we want it to. Now, the food then goes down to the duodenum, which is the next part in the highway. I call it the information superhighway. The mouth to the anus. That's the gut, right? Then the food goes down to the stomach and hits the duodenum. And what happens is, at this point, the actual pancreas releases various digestive juices, right, to help the digestion process. And then what happens? Stomach, duodenum, small intestine. The pancreas helps with those pancreatic juices. We also have amylase. We have lipase. We have protease. Right? Protease sounds like what? Proteins. Lipase sounds like what? Lipids or fats. And amylase sounds what? Starches. Doesn't really sound like anything, but that one's a given. So those juices help through the metabolic process. Then we also have, essentially, at some point, insulin is released through the beta cells of the pancreas. And many of you are diabetic, which I'm going to discuss, I believe, on Monday. It's on your schedule. We're going to see what is actually hindering the actual cells from uptaking enough of the insulin to help you further break down the food and use the food as energy. Now, let me just say this quickly. Now, this computer might die for some reason. Drop the computer, charger's not working. So, I don't need the computer anyways. So, when you eat, right, you need to make sure you know what is on your labels. That is what that looks like, considering. So I want someone to read this label for me. This is actually something that most of you would pick up at the store, and it is a vegetable lasagna. Sounds good on the cover. But I don't go by the cover. Are you guys listening to me? Yes. Do not go by the cover. We need to flip it over and read the ingredients. So I'm looking at this. My eyes is, and based upon, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, there's some things in there that I would not eat. Now, we'll talk about what some of those things are. So, to consider means to practically take time to look and see what is in your ingredient section of your food before you eat it. Now, let's just have a little fun. Somebody here, just tell me an ingredient that you would look to you would look for in your food that if you see it, you would not eat it. Raise your hand. Tell me what it is. What is it? Sugar. Are you sure about that? Sugar or added sugar?
Added sugar.
Okay, I was going to say food has sugar. All food, natural sugar. Okay. Ingredient.
We don't buy factory.
You don't buy factory.
Factory processed foods.
Okay.
So we don't have to look at the factory. We get all the fresh vegetables and make our own stuff.
Excellent. So that's exactly what we want. Very good. Ingredients that would be a no-no for you.
Soy, gluten, sugar, too much sugar.
Soy, gluten, sugar, too much sugar. Can I ask you a question? Why soy?
I have a thyroid issue, and they said that that's one of the inflammatory markers.
Who said that? Your doctor?
No, Dr. J.
All right, that's a good question. Let's answer that. Soy. Does soy cause cancer? That's not the one I want. Is there a link between, what did you say soy, what does it do? Is it an inflammatory marker? What's the marker we're looking for that's inflammatory?
Soy, gluten, soy, dairy, cookies.
I would argue differently. In fact, soy is anti-inflammatory. So the inflammatory markers that they're probably talking about in soy, I would assume, what they're saying essentially is it's a lot of estrogen, right?
Well, I know that. I heard that.
Yeah. And so, in fact, if you go to the American Cancer Society, soy is a recommended food for breast cancer. The inflammatory markers, I don't want to put you on the spot. Before I assume, please find out what those markers are, and then we'll look at it throughout this week. How about that? But generally, what people say about soy is that soy is bad for you. In fact, that is not true. Based upon study, soy, this is a study here from Mr. Winston J. Gregg from the Journal of Health and Healing. What he actually says is that the issue with soy, I'll break it down, that most people think is that soy has a lot of estrogen, that the estrogen that you find in soy is phytoestrogen. Write that down. The estrogen you find in dairy, for instance, is your regular estrogen. Phytoestrogen comes from plants. And actually, those phytoestrogen help fight cancers, especially breast cancers. Now, I do agree, you don't want genetically modified soy. That's the one you want to stay away from. But when I get my soy, I get the organic heirloom soybean. Now, since we're on the topic of soy, this is a flour that I use. It's called einkorn. All right? And the einkorn flour is one of the only flours that is heirloom. Now, when I say heirloom, you know what that means? It means it has never been hybridized. Most people who are gluten intolerant or have issues with celiac, if they have this flour, it doesn't bother them. Now, I said most. You know, I know this because me and my wife, we ran a restaurant, a plant-based restaurant for almost 6 years. And we had all kinds of people coming to our restaurant basically asking us to specialize a diet for them, to create something that most of them couldn't have a lot of different things. So we've learned to work with people. So the einkorn flour is also low on the glycemic index. If you have diabetes, you can go with this. The einkorn flour, it tastes just like white flour. You won't even know the difference, except it's healthy. White flour isn't, right? So your einkorn is the way to go, all right? So some other myths about soy. There is no evidence that suggests soy affects the thyroid function in women. However, watch this carefully, individuals with impaired thyroid function need to ensure an adequate intake of what? Iodine when soy foods are eaten. That's your issue. And I'm going to talk about thyroid disorders this week. You're going to see that it's really a dietary issue. In most of you, when you have thyroid disorder, what do they put you on? Levothyroxine. What is that? You know what that is? It's a hormone. And studies actually show that most women who are on levothyroxine, guess what issues they end up with in the long run? Osteoporosis. And do you know why? We'll talk about that during the week. We're not going to tell you everything today. All right? So, it says, the foods that can, however, that can interfere with thyroid function include, it's not just soy, cabbage, radish, Brussels sprouts, kale, millet, peach, strawberries, right? And your reference is in your next slide here. So this impairment involves iodine, is mild, and is rarely with the eating of these foods tip the balance into hypothyroidism. All right? But to be on the safe side, a balance can be struck by ingesting iodine. So I think, for the most part, and I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence here. I'm a humble servant. I learn every day. I don't know everything. This is my first, how do you say? I'm giving you my first, somebody help me here. Huh? I'm giving you essentially a warning. I don't know everything. I learn every day. Disclaimer, I like that one. I learn every day. I'm a common person, all right? And so what I find in traveling is that we have a knowledge, but we have not qualified it. We'll say basic things like this causes this, that causes that. But let's qualify the statement, right? So again, according to this good study here, we can also accomplish that balance by ingesting or adding to our diet seaweed, kelp, and sea moss. And if you're going to get kelp, the best kelp is the Norwegian kelp. Okay? Norwegian kelp. That's the best one. Well, because they are manufacturing a lot of this stuff. So like sea moss, they've genetically modified it. So you can actually trust it because it's just a better brand. All right? Now, we have a question. Sister, right there.
Yeah, how much iodine is taking for taking supplements?
Right.
Get some of that in multivitamins.
It rarely is iodine the issue in the United States to begin with. But we usually recommend about a teaspoon per day, which is, I believe, about 15 micrograms. And there's a good food for iodine right here. I can never pronounce this one. Spirulina. Spirulina. Potato, right? So there it is, right here. All right. Now, let's talk about our initial question, which was food, right? I want to show you from your Bible in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 and 8. Let's look at the original diet that God gave man. Genesis 1:29, but we're going to look at Genesis 2:7, right? Now, this might be a little controversial for some, but I happen to believe in the Bible. You know why? There's a difference between critical thinking. Critical thinking is a disciplined way of thinking that involves analyzing information, forming a conclusion. You have to do that by observation, by analyzing, by inference, by communication, by problem solving. But biblical thinking is different. You know that? Biblical thinking involves, notice this, there is a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is the way of death. That's not critical thinking. And then it says here, 2 Corinthians 8, verse 2, if any man think he knows anything, how much does he know? He knows nothing. Yet as he ought to know it. So if we think we know something, then most likely we're going to approach things with this mindset that I know, and I'm going to prove wrong, and oftentimes that simply shows that we don't know. You know, people that know often don't speak. And people who speak a lot often don't know. Because if we truly know, it's going to cause us to be what? Humble. Now, in this case, I can't be humble because I have to speak to you. So, but I don't know everything. Okay, so remember the two. We also talked about the essential amino acids. How many essential amino acids do we have? Essential. 9, right? And so we also talked about the 11 non-essential amino acids. I'm not going to go through all the names. But what foods can we get these 9 essential amino acids from in food and plants? Chia seeds. So chia seed. So an amino acid, when I say essential, that makes it what? How do we define it? That makes it a protein. All right? It makes it a protein. So the proteins is necessary for us to eat, and these essential amino acids, these 9 essential amino acids that you find in chia seeds, and you also find it in sunflower seeds, they're right here. And this is what they do. Histidine is a very important one. We hear about this one a lot, right? And look at this one here, leucine, right, which helps regulate your blood sugar level for a diabetic. So here are some foods you can actually get these things from, right? Except no white rice, please. Very processed. Don't do it. Pumpkin seeds. If we're going to do rice, what should we have? What's white rice? You know, my wife's dad owns a rice mill in the Philippines, so I know a little bit about rice. So the way what they do is they put the rice in the mill, and it removes all the fiber, and all you have left is essentially the inside of it. White rice, if you're diabetic, tends to spike your sugar and drops it like that. If you eat white rice, you'll get a spike, then you'll get a regular sugar, slowly go down. You know why? F word. Not that word. Fiber. Okay? Fiber. Why is fiber so important?
Well, it aids digestion.
It's everything, right? Fiber is a very powerful thing. How much proteins do we need? What is the recommended level? We'll learn all that throughout the week, right? So, in the U.S., here in the Western part of the world, there is an overemphasis on proteins, and it's way too much, right? We're consuming a lot more proteins than we're supposed to. But here's an example of a good plant-based protein sources. Like, you have raw seeds, you have your raw nuts, you have your whole grains. Ezekiel 4:9. Did you know this? Actually, if you go in Ezekiel 4:9 and you read it, you will find that God gave the perfect recipe for proteins. It's in Ezekiel 4:9. Can somebody go there and read it for me? Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 9. I gotta go quick. Ezekiel 4:9. Where we hit through carbohydrates. Can you read it?
Also, take for yourself wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt. Put them into one vessel and make bread of them for yourself. During the number of days that you lie on your side, 390 days you shall eat it.
Did you know that scientists actually took a look at all those properties and actually found out this is a complete protein? This recipe? You tell me who wrote it. Was not man. Let's talk about carbohydrate. And I said to you yesterday that carbohydrates were non-essential foods. Doesn't mean you should eat them, but you can actually live without them. Right? Remember the man by the name of Atkins a while back? Which he was up to something, but he wasn't quite onto something yet, right? So carbohydrates, they're necessary for fuel. When you're eating carbohydrate, does your carbohydrates look like this? Or does it look like this? Which one are you? Left or right? Left. Somebody says left. Is it my left or your left? All right. This is not what, you do not want this. These are processed foods, and I'm going to show you why, okay? Which one are you? Whole carbs, refined carbs. If this is you, you are fueling your body for disease. This is highly acidic. This is more on the alkaline side. Now, there's some acids there too, but look at this. You have your complex carb, and then you have your simple carbs. Do not eat these. Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, no good. Yes, yes, sir. He said, yes. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. It's not food. In fact, I'm going to show you this week that a lot of the ingredients in those foods are not even allowed in Europe. Especially your high fructose corn syrup, which is the second cause of fatty liver in the United States after alcohol. I'm going to prove everything I say to you if you come this week. All right? All right. We want to talk about inflammation, my sister. You were talking about inflammation, so this is good. So even in dealing with natural foods like seeds and nuts, there are some foods that I'm not saying not to eat them, but you have to eat them less and less. So most inflammatory, you're looking at things like these: poppy, hemp, wheat germ, walnuts, pecans, right? Moderately inflammatory, you're looking at pumpkin seeds, Brazil nuts, sesame seeds, peanuts. And less inflammatory, chia, amen? Almonds, flax seeds, pistachios. Flax seeds are very good for the prostate. Most men end up with prostate health issues. And especially if you have high blood pressure or diabetes, you should have 1 tablespoon of flaxseed every day. And what you're going to do is you're going to grind it. But don't buy it already grounded, because it's been sitting on the shelf for who knows how long. You want to grind it on demand. If you've had a stroke or at risk for a stroke, you're going to prevent it with a food like flaxseed. You know what flaxseed has in it? Something called omega-3 fatty acids. Your omega-3 fatty acids quell inflammation, versus the omega-6 helps to bring about inflammation. But in some cases, with these nuts and these seeds, you kind of want to stay around here. You can do these, but not too much of it, right? So you have cashew and macadamia, which our cashew cheesecake is made from this today. These here are much better for you, all right? All right, blood. Why am I saying all of this? It's because everything that you eat, it is that which your body uses in order to make blood. Did you know that? In order for your body to make blood, you need to have the right nutrients for your cells. And this is your cell, right? All of us, we are made up of trillions of cells. Wow, that's loud. Lady, we should probably wait. Yeah, let's wait on that. We'll do it in front of them. We are made up of trillions of cells, right? And our cells bathe in a fluid called the interstitial fluid, which derives from where? Essentially, it's running through your blood, right? And this fluid feeds every cell of the body, okay? Now watch this. The Bible says in the book of Leviticus chapter 17 verse 11, here's your next fact, that the life of the flesh is in the blood. Now this is before science actually recognized this. Because there was a time where scientists believed that you can make someone well by bleeding them to death. Well, they didn't mean to bleed them to death. But our first president, in fact, the story is that George Washington was bled to death. And this is actual factual information. You can look it up. Because they were bleeding people, right? But way before that was understood, the properties or the components of the blood, how important it was, and how disease also carries blood. Before hand washing and all of these things, God already had these laws in place. In fact, in the Old Testament, he required the high priest to properly wash their hands after they've dealt with these animal sacrifices. It wasn't until, don't quote me on this, I think the late 1800s, that they figured out that you needed to wash your hands before surgery. People were dying of all kinds of infection, but God already had these laws in place. You see, he created our bodies, and he knows what we need. But what is it that is in the blood? The life of the flesh. And I said that to you yesterday, right? If you look at your blood on a microscopic level, you have a part of it that is plasma. And in the plasma, it carries proteins, 91% what? Water, other solutes, these ions and nutrients and waste gases formed, the buffy coat contains your, essentially, the platelets. And then you have the form elements down here. You have the leukocytes, which gives rise to your white blood cells. Now, why that word white blood cells sounds very tricky for people. It's a fancy way of saying your immune system. All right? Most diseases, especially chronic lifestyle diseases, actually hinders the immune system from functioning. Let me explain the immune system like this. The immune system is like an army, all right, of a country. And that country is your body. What happens if a country has a weak army and there are threats all around that country? People want to go to war with you. What happens if that army is weak? You're going to get invaded. And what happens? What's going to happen to you? You're going to be defeated. If your immune system is weak, you will be invaded and defeated. And what weakens your immune system? We're going to learn that this week. The immune reactive foods. I'm going to give you a hint. Sugar, added sugars. It weakens your immune system for up to 5 hours. Processed foods, chips, McDonald's, Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes. Ooh, it's like a dart to everybody's heart here. Some people. These foods weaken your immune system. You know why? Because they contain no life. Now, question, your blood. Is your blood living or is it dead? Living. It's living. It's actually a living tissue. Okay? The blood is a living tissue. How can you sustain something that is living from that which is dead? Most of us, when we eat chicken, or when we take broccoli and we boil it to death. Hello, somebody. What we are doing is destroying many of the properties in the food, and as a result, we can't get the right amount of vitamins and nutrients that our bodies need in order to sustain itself. Now, can I prove that for you from the Word of God? Now, we're going to Genesis 2. That's where we were. One of my favorite scriptures. I almost always quote this at least twice when I speak. So many other scriptures, but this is one of my favorite ones. Because it talks about the process of how God made us, right? Genesis 2:7. It says, "And the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living being," which means before that he was not. And then the next verse says, "And the Lord God planted a garden eastward." So, God formed us from the dust. He put a garden in the dust. What's the correlation? What's the correlation?
The garden's to nourish.
You find the in most cases, okay? The garden nourishes us because in the garden, in that dust, you find a lot of the same minerals that you find in your body. Okay? Okay. So, what am I saying? Can you destroy the minerals that is in your food? Yes. By the way that you cook? Yes. Absolutely. When you fry food, are you getting the same amount of minerals? If I take potatoes come from the ground. My wife grows potatoes. We actually, I'll show you pictures this week of us growing potatoes. And by the way, we have a camp meeting coming in June. All of you guys are welcome. You camp out, you bring a tent, you stay on the property, your food is provided, your juices are provided. We do this all day. We have various speakers. Last year we had Dr. Clark, who's a retired bone surgeon or orthopedic surgeon. We had several others that actually come and they actually teach this stuff. Okay, so you're free to come. Just say, "Hey, Brother Udi, can I come to the camp meeting after this?" And we'll talk. You can cook off the minerals and the vitamins in your food, and I'm going to show you that today. The vitamins typically contribute to the color of your food, and the minerals typically contribute to the taste of your food. When you taste a potato or a tomato that's been fried, right, or that has been denatured essentially, completely destroyed, there's no properties left in it. You're eating basically empty calories. Do you know you can actually eat a potato raw?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. It won't hurt you. It won't hurt you. So when God originally made man, he made us to eat food that would give us the nutrients that we need. The purpose for which we eat is not to fill our bellies, but it's to get the nutrients from the food. You know that? Many of us, our tastes have been perverted. Question.
So, what will happen if you don't cook our food, just eat it raw?
Well, I eat about 80% raw, so I mean, I think you're going to find that your body is going to thrive. Let me tell you something, just look it up. Look up people who's overcome cancers, diabetes, various diseases by just going on a raw diet. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm saying start by including raw components in your food. And I'm going to show you what that looks like this week. Part of what we're doing today, you're going to get a raw juice. You're going to get a raw cheesecake. We're going to make a lasagna, and we're going to make a gluten-free waffle, flour-free. Flour-free. We're going to use brown rice. We're going to use quinoa. We're going to use red lentils. We're going to use walnuts. We're going to use almonds. We're going to use coconut shreds, oat. We're going to soak it, blend it, and make a flour and make a waffle out of it. And if you eat one of those, you've essentially have 3 or 4 components that is in your food that you need daily. You have your nuts, you have your seeds, you have your carbohydrate, you have your proteins in one meal. Okay? So I'm going to teach you how to cook whole foods plant-based. All right, let's continue. I'm not going to have time to go through these fats and how they work in the process, but we're going to have time for this here. This is from the Bible. It says, "Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the prince of nobles, and thy king and thy princes eat in due season." For what? For strength and not for drunkenness. This indicates that we should eat at set times, meaning there should be a set time to eat. In other words, you don't want to wake up one day and eat your breakfast at 9, tomorrow you have it at noon, the next day you have it at 2, and the next day you don't have it at all. The body likes regularity. And order and regularity is the first law of heaven. Can I prove that to you? Order and regularity is the first law of heaven. Let me make it practical. What comes after Monday? What comes after Tuesday? What comes after spring? What comes after summer? What comes after fall? Has there ever been a fall that follows a spring? That's called regularity and order. God has said that. It's just not it's not happening by itself. Your body does the same. It knows when to go to sleep. It knows when it should wake up. Most of us have destroyed that alarm system because when nighttime comes, natural melatonin are released. It knows. And you know what destroys it at times at night? Let me see your phone. We're right here flipping through. You see this light?
I average 14 minutes of screen time a week.
That's good.
That's right.
Wow. That's excellent.
Don't ask me about my computer.
So your body needs regularity. In other words, have your breakfast at a set time. One of the things I've realized in dealing with people who are sick, especially diabetes, this is the #1 rule they break. And tomorrow night I'm going to show you. Diabetes are all over the place with their food. They don't have regularity. They're too busy rushing to work, coming home. They don't have. We are running so fast, we are missing so much. This is why the Bible says, relax, right? The Bible says, be still and know that I am God. Sometimes we need to be still. All right. I'm not going to go through this lecture here. All right. This is how food moved down the GI system. We're going to talk about that this week. But I think now it's time to get a little bit more practical, okay? There were some questions yesterday about reading labels. And I probably did not do justice in talking about some of these things. But we will be touching upon these things tomorrow. Okay, so are we ready? It's 5:16 already. Boy. I was going to show you a video on certain things, but we don't have time for that right now. Well, let me just show you this quickly. This is a plan that I actually worked on for someone. We create some of these plans. The person was a cancer, diabetic person, various other issues. So we create these plans, and this is actually like 10 pages long. This is just the first page, where we show you what to do when you wake up in the morning, how to eat, how to start your day, what your breakfast should look like, so on and so forth, right? Oh boy, we're gonna have fun this week. We are. We are. So much to cover. High fructose corn syrup. It's in these foods. When you read your label, if it says high fructose corn syrup, don't buy it. Typically, how many things you want on your ingredient list? 3, 5 the most. If it's a paragraph long, put it down. Diabetics. When should you eat a banana? What stage? Well, if it's green, it has no enzyme, so I don't want it there. I want it like between here and here. If it's here, you don't want it. Huh?
That's banana bread.
This is what I do. When mine gets about here, I freeze it for smoothie. All right? We were talking about natural sugars versus refined sugars, which we'll talk about during the week, and what it means to have added sugar versus natural sugars. We're going to discuss that. GMO versus non-GMO, what to look for, the numbers to look for. All right? 8, I hate. Say it. 4 is a bore. 9 is mine. So don't say, Brother Yudi, it's too expensive. Anybody ever check how much it costs to go to the hospital for, let's say, a week? How much do you think it costs to be in the hospital for a week? Give me a range. 1,000? No. Oh. Your X-ray don't even cost. Your X-ray is like 5,000 alone. I used to do coding. I know.
Over 46,000.
46,000 for the week, and that's a conservative number.
Yes, it is.
Okay? So don't tell me if you spend an extra 50 cents on an organic product that it's expensive. Your health is not expensive. I talk to people about these things all the time. You cannot put a price on your health. Don't let anybody fool you. All right? Typically, your organic versus non-organic is going to look like this. You see this? It is non-natural. This is natural. Ginger, this is natural. Unnatural, right? When the diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. But when your diet is correct, medicine is of no need. Think about that for a minute. Who's in the lifestyle change line? Who's in the pills and the surgery line? Everybody. Which one do you want to be? Does pills cure disease? No. They don't. Now, this is what we're going to make today. All right. I think our time is already. We ready, ladies? All right. The first thing on our menu is the Tree of Life Natural Foods Anti-Inflammatory or Neuropathy Pain Juice. We're going to use 1 pineapple. Well, this is just for serving 2 to 3 persons. We're going to use a lot more than that here. Okay? This is for you. If you're doing it at home, you're going to take a pineapple. What's in the pineapple?
Broccoli.
Who says bromelain? You're good. How'd you know that?
I studied it.
Oh. What does bromelain do? It's a proteolytic enzyme. It helps split protein, which is why it was very good for COVID, by the way. Scratch your head. The COVID virus was encapsulated by a protein shell. Bromelain is also anti-inflammatory. So if you have arthritis in the knees, in the joints, it's going to help you. Yeah.
Do you add black pepper to activate the turmeric?
Good point. I love that point. No, I do not. I don't like black pepper. There's a lot of studies on black pepper. First, let's start. Do we believe every study we read? See, listen, I happen to look at peer-reviewed studies. But do we believe every study that we read? Do you understand that some studies are funded for a reason? Have you ever heard about the 1910 Flexner report? Anybody ever study that? Put that on your list. Look up the 1910 Flexner report. That is the study that actually morphed the medical system into what it is today. Prior to 1910, medical doctors, physicians were able to prescribe herbs. Hello, somebody. When you get home, research what did the 1910 Flexner report do to that. Now I'm going to give you some more facts. Prior to the 1910 Flexner report, you had more women graduating medical school. Prior to the 1910 medical report, you had more African Americans graduating medical school. After the 1910 Flexner report, the United States of America, which actually was conducted for not only the US but also for Canada, went from 75% of the medical schools in the US and in Canada were shut down. And Flexner was essentially connected with the Rockefellers. Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the Carnegie Foundation. Ever heard of them?
Yes.
They funded the report. So just clues. After that report happened, pharmaceuticals and herbology became at odds with each other. Okay? We'll get into that in our herbal class this week. Anyways, all right. So, turmeric. There is a lot of studies show that turmeric actually has to be activated by black pepper. I don't use black pepper because for me it is neurotoxic. All right? Not only that, it puts holes in your gut, in the lining of the gut. Yes, it does. It does. Now, if you look up studies on it, a lot of it will say it's good. A little disclaimer here. Do we believe everything that the government tells us?
No.
Do you believe everything that the FDA tells you? I'm not anti-government, but I'm also not someone who's going to take everything you say at face value. Okay? So, black pepper. So, here's a study here. It's a good study. It says that the active agent in black pepper is what? Piperine. And it is highly toxic to the hippocampus. And the hippocampus, right, is essentially the part in your brain that functions to help you with behavior, emotions, memory formation, your sense of smell. And what it does is it actually affects the hippocampal synaptic function. Let me explain what that means in common language. In your brain, you have a bunch of cells, they're called neurons. And what they do is they communicate with each other through the synapses. There's a gap between each one, and as they connect together, they release information. They don't touch, but they almost touch. Black pepper destroys that. And there's been studies that shows that it is one of the components that actually helps to bring about certain degenerative neurological diseases, such as Parkinson's disease. Now, yes, you got to come back this week with it. And they say it activates turmeric. I was doing a research. I do a lot of research. I was researching. And every article, I found a lot of studies that actually says that. And then I found a good article that says turmeric isn't necessarily activated by black pepper, but turmeric is activated by heat. What is it? Heat. So the best pepper you can use is cayenne. Cayenne pepper is a blood stimulant. You can stop a heart attack with 90,000 heating units cayenne pepper. We have seen it. We have helped people to do it. 90,000 heating units cayenne pepper acts just like nitro. Anybody heard of nitro? But nitro does the opposite. It bottoms you out. Cayenne pepper will open the arteries up, allow circulation to go in, which is, most of you, the arteries are clogged because you're eating lots of saturated fats and food. Right? Various things I'm going to show you this week. So cayenne pepper is what you use to combine with turmeric. Do not use black pepper. It is very neurotoxic. All right? Okay. Okay, so shall we go over to our cooking area and cook? First, we're going to make the juice. All right, where's my team? Because I can't speak and cook at the same time.
Question?
Oh, I'll take questions. Okay, so we need the team to come up. Question. Do we have another mic that they can use? Yeah, turn it on, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question about fermented foods, because I've had people tell me that God doesn't want us to eat fermented foods.
Mhm.
And then I've had people tell me that, fermented foods are good for you and easy to digest.
Okay.
So I don't know what is it in
Okay.
the Bible? Does it say something?
Yes, it does in the Bible. Listen, everything that I'm saying here, remember, I'm going to give you some studies to back it up, and I'm also going to give you my opinion. I don't eat fermented foods. I just don't. Because I don't believe it's the best food for me. Based upon the way that it is processed and done, and based upon what I've observed, I don't like it. Because something like vinegar, for instance, do you know how it's made?
Fermentation?
Yeah, but do you know how it's made?
Spoiled wine.
Let me show you. Good one. Let me show you what vinegar is. And by the way, all of these things we will be answering this week. Oh, where it is. Where is it? Alcohol, oxygen, bacteria, vinegar. Is this something you think that is good to eat?
It's in everyone.
Come to conclusion. Vinegar is a good thing to clean with.
Kills weeds.
Best. It kills weeds. But if you go to Matthew chapter 27, verse 33 and 34, Jesus was offered vinegar at the cross, and he did not drink it. We are told it would have numbed his senses. So vinegar is very toxic too. For me, I don't do it. Now, sauerkraut, and there's certain things that they talk about. There's certain, what's that bread that they make? Sourdough bread. Now that's a little bit debatable in a sense. But for the most part, you find a food that they say is good for you because it has vinegar in it. I'll find you another plant that has probably 10 times more of the better properties than that. Okay? We have to be careful with health information because health has been taken over as well by yeah, some of it, big pharma. Anyways, okay. So we're going to talk about these things throughout the week, okay?
I have a question.
Question, yeah, taking more. Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is the UK version of ketchup. This is the US version of ketchup, which is why I'm very glad that we have, to some degree, and I'm not political. I'm not here endorsing any party. I believe in Jesus. But I think that the current health person that we have right now in the U.S. is going to do some good things for us. Robert Kennedy. Yes, he's going to do some good things. He's already looking at some things that needs to be done. He wants to remove the dye from our foods. He wants to analyze. He wants to start essentially a group that's going to study how. And again, I'm not here to offend. Don't get offended and walk out. If you are if you're a thinking person, you cannot get offended when an opposing point has been presented to you. You need to analyze the point. And actually, that shows weakness. We can't get upset at an opposing point. We should be able to have a debate and have a civil debate. Anybody agree? And everybody agree? So he's going to actually put what do you call that? He's going to have some folks look into how some vaccines have caused injury. Now, that has not been the case in the U.S. The vaccine companies are immune from lawsuits. That's a good thing. Because, listen, whether you agree with vaccines or not, that's not the point that I'm making here. We should be able to look, if you're saying something is safe, we should be able to look into it. Are you seeing my point?
Yes.
All right. So, we need that. Anyways, what's the difference between the UK version and the US version? Okay. And then, of course, I would not eat it, either one, because of the vinegar. I don't want the vinegar in my food. Okay? So we need to read our labels. And we need to cook for strength and not for drunkenness. All right. Okay, are we ready for our juice?
One question over there.
Oh, question. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Turmeric, ginger, what's the proper way to eat that?
Well, we're going to show you that by putting it in your food, in your juice. You can actually take turmeric and you can, I make chickpeas, right? So if I make some chickpeas is a very good legume. And I will start with a little bit of chopped onions, some chopped garlic, and I will essentially put a little bit of some good oils in there, and then I'll put the chickpeas in there. I'll put my onions and garlic, add my salt. What kind of salt am I using? Table salt?
Red salt.
Can somebody show me the Celtic? Can I have the Celtic salt, please? I have to show them this.
Where do you get that?
Celtic salt. All right, some say Celtic, some say Celtic. All right, or you can pass it around because I'll probably take more questions as they go. Celtic salt. That's my favorite salt. I don't like table salt. Right? Question.
Do you eat dandelion salad?
Ooh, I eat dandelions straight off the ground at my house. They grow all over the place. Do you guys know what dandelion is? Anybody ever seen what it looks like?
Yeah.
You see that little flower that grows all over the grass? By the way, don't eat it if somebody's spraying your grass. Or if you have cats and dogs running, or make sure you wash it, but I would not if they're spraying. Dandelions, study actually showed that dandelions has roughly 26 minerals in it that actually helps to combat anemia. And it is also a liver cleanser. It's very powerful. It is anti-cancerous. It's bitter. And every part of the dandelion is edible. Every part, including the root. Or you can just get our products, which we have them. Now, Celtic salt. This salt originates from France. This is the best gift we got from France. There are 3 main salts that I use. And sea salt is okay, depending if it's real sea salt. I'm originally from Haiti. So where I was brought up, we picked the salt up right from the ocean, and it was rock like this. Rock salt. Real deal. Celtic salt has roughly 84 minerals in it. Now, the Bible says that you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its savor, it's good for nothing. Table salt has lost its savor. Do you know how table salt is made? Most of it is made from crude oil, fossil fuel. And it is heated to I don't know how many degrees Fahrenheit. And the properties, the minerals, what happens when you heat anything too much? What happens when you heat anything too much? You lose the value of it, right? And then they add the iodines, which is a synthetic iodine, which is contributing to a lot of issues, especially thyroid disorders and hypertension, by the way. This salt, with the minerals that it has, it will help you actually take in water. Okay? Now keep in mind, this is a finishing salt. You understand what I mean? Meaning you use it at the end of your cooking. Oops. That's precious salt. By the way, you see what just happened? That's the only thing you should use table salt for. If it gets icy on your driveway in the winter time, you just sprinkle it all over. Now, when you go out to eat at Olive Garden, or give me a restaurant that you guys like. Big Chases. Never heard of that one.
That's my house.
Give me another one. Big Chases. Oh, that's a good one. What kind of salt do you think they use at those restaurants? Table salt. You know why? They don't care about your health, they care about their pocket. We were essentially the only restaurant that I knew that used this to cook with. Because we didn't care about our pocket. In fact, we went broke because we're doing it. We cared about people's health. Now, Himalayan is good too. And there's another salt called real salt. Ever heard of it? Real salt. Look it up. That comes from Utah. It's very good. Right? Kosher. That, I don't know what they do to make it kosher, so I can't speak on that one.
Pray on it.
Look at it.
The rabbi looks at it and blesses it.
Make sure it hasn't had a
Oh, okay. But does it come naturally from the ocean?
I don't know where it comes from. It's flaked. And it's not iodized.
Yeah, I don't know too much about. That's something I have to look up.
How about
So-
pink salt?
That's Himalayan. That's good. But again, use it at the end of your cooking. Because what happens if you put it in the beginning of your cooking? You are losing the minerals. That's why the Bible says the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground, the minerals, and then he also planted a garden in the dust of the ground, the minerals. When you destroy the minerals, all right, look it up. Somebody Google it right now. How many minerals does the human body contain, roughly? Are we ready for the juice, ladies? Oh, they made it away from us. Oh, praise God. How many minerals does the body contain? Anybody looked it up? Give me a good source. Make sure it tells you the source. Huh?
60.
Hmm?
Is it 60?
Is that what it says?
5 major and 72 trace.
How many?
There's 5 major minerals and 72 trace.
72 trace minerals. So when I say minerals, you have your minerals, you have your trace minerals. Okay, let's look at an issue such as osteoporosis or bone health issues. Right? So when you have bone health issues, let's take a look at that. Right? What happens? They typically tell you what to take. What do you need to take? Calcium. But is calcium the only thing that you need?
No.
Calcium is the pig that drives all the other minerals in. It's like a piggyback ride. Let's talk about calcium. You know, there's actually really good studies that shows that dairy actually depletes your calcium.
Exactly. I learned that the hard way.
And she's a medical personnel. What you want is almonds, almond milk. Now, be careful with the almond milks at the store. If we have time this week, I'm going to show you how to make your own almond milk with almonds and water. And while we're on the subject of almonds, that deals with nuts. So when you go to the store and you want to eat some nuts, what do you typically go for? Raw or roasted? Somebody says raw. Who says raw? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And who typically go for the, wait a minute, roasted? Honey, salt, sugar, ranch. Raise your hand. Be honest. Okay. Which one is healthier for you? The raw. What happens when you roast something? All right. Question. Here, microphone.
What about those people who like boiled peanuts? Is that good?
You know, I'm not a big peanut person, but I like peanut butter. But it has to be no added sugar. It has to have one ingredient, peanut and salt. And I'm going to show you how to read that this week. And if we had some of our stuff out, I would show you. Yeah, I guess you can do that. But if you want it to have the most properties, then you want to do it when it's alive.
I've heard that there are some acidic foods, and that's one of the acidic foods that's listed.
Yeah,
So,
it's actually one of the inflammatory foods as well.
yeah.
And not to mention, most of the peanuts that we get here in the U.S., it's got heavy mold in it. You know peanuts, you can actually grow it, right? In fact, we're planting peanuts this year. It grows. Listen, all of these vitamins people talk about comes from food. Their origin is in food. It doesn't, we buy these things from the stores and we say, let's just get this vitamin. We can actually get our vitamins from food. And that is what I'm teaching you here, okay? All right, ladies, are we ready? Almost. So first on the menu is our juice, and then the lasagna. We're going to make the lasagna, and then we're going to do the waffles. Or the waffles come first.
Are you making the noodles too?
No. We actually purchased a good noodle that is made with brown rice and salt. That's the only ingredient. Brown rice noodles. Remember, most of the noodles you buy is made with what? White flour. All right, there it is. Thank you, honey. All right, this is my wife, Melissa. All right, this is a good brand, Jovial. This is so good. It's so chewy. And I want you to pass it around and just read the ingredients. I'm going to circle it. And I should have bought one that there's the other ones that you buy at the store with 1,000 ingredients in it and poisons. Just read the ingredient. If you're going to buy something, stick to it as natural as possible. In this case, you have 2 ingredients. I think it's brown rice and water. And it's organic. And it's non-GMO. Question?
I know that you already, you asked about fermented foods, but I still want to ask about, I don't know how to pronounce it, kefir?
Yeah.
Fermented.
Is it the plant-based stuff?
I think it's still fermented in the process, like yogurt and stuff like that. Why is that not good?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you look it up?
Yeah, like probiotics, like yogurt,
Okay.
kefir, and then
Yeah.
fermented milk products.
Well, probiotic is good, and we're going to show you, like I had that picture here, right? Look at this. You can actually get probiotics from your food as well. I think it was on our banana picture. And then I'm going to show you how to make a yogurt this week with really good probiotics in it. Right here, on this stage here. Now, I'm going to show you this week how to do that. how to make a yogurt that's going to yield all the probiotics in it. And you can actually buy a probiotic capsule and just do it that way too, as opposed to eating the heavy fermented stuff.
Okay, but it's not bad to eat fermented stuff like that.
I don't eat fermented stuff. Like, I don't do it. For me personally, because again, it is something that I find that it's just not the best for my brain to function. When I have stuff that's fermented, I feel the difference. Like, I really do. And I used to drink. So, back in the days, yeah, go ahead.
The seaweed snacks.
Seaweed?
Yeah, snacks.
Seaweed snacks, okay. Everybody know what seaweed is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are those good? Because right here, it's like it has for ingredients, seaweed, sunflower oil,
Okay,
and sea salt.
that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, but you still gotta be moderate. You know what I mean? You don't want to eat too much because they're addictive. They're addictive. You can eat like 16 bags of
That's
it.
what she was showing me. My daughter was showing me.
It's good. It's good. But you know, have you ever had real seaweed? See, yeah. So I've been to the Philippines, Belize, those places. You can actually eat the real thing. It's so good. All right, when we go to the Philippines and we have that real stuff. Yeah.
What's the difference between prebiotics and probiotics?
Well, just like it sounds. You have one that goes before, and then the other one is a pro. So, and we can get all of that from our food. We really can. We don't need these supplements. These supplements, remember, what I'm trying to tell you is these things were originally not at the garden. If you eat as close to the garden as possible, you're going to get all of those things naturally from your food. We were talking about earlier today the difference between cyanocobalamin and methylcobalamin, which is essentially vitamin B12. Which, by the way, you know you produce vitamin B12 every morning, naturally, in your spit, that first saliva. Because most people have an issue with plant-based. They say, oh, where you get your B12 from? Oh, where you get your proteins from? That's the best one, right? Let me tell you something, newsflash. Proteins originate in plants. That's where protein originates. Think about it. Who likes steak? Raise your hand. All right. That's okay. I used to like, beef wasn't my thing. My thing was buffalo chicken wings and fish. All right, bison. Okay, I've never. Okay. Where does the beef get its proteins from?
Grass.
The grass. Does the beef eat other beefs? Other cows?
I hope not.
It does, unfortunately. But naturally, in nature, does the cow eat beef naturally? If a person did not give it to them, would they eat it? All right, I want you to go to your Bibles, to the book of Job, chapter 12. Where are we going, friends? Where is everybody going to come back this week? Yeah, right. You know, we're doing a juice detox program, which, misconception, you do not have to fast. Okay? It's a 3-day detox. You're having very powerful anti-inflammatory juices. And these are organic products. Now, someone says, can the juice, it's actually $10, it's actually $100 for 9 juices. You're getting 3 a day, 16 ounces, organic, fresh pressed, like we did here. This detox program, you have to sign up for today. And by the end of your detox program, you're going to see your inflammation go down. Some of you are going to lose weight. Some of you are going to feel like your brain fog is gone. Some of you, your bowels are going to be moving. We're going to talk about bowels. So if you have not signed up, you better do so. Where were we going? Verse, did I give you the verse? Job 12, I believe verse 7. Tell me what verse 7 says. While we're on the issue of beef.
But now ask the beast.
But now ask the beast.
And they will teach you.
And they will teach you.
And the birds of the air.
And the birds of the air.
And they will tell you.
And they will tell you. Keep going.
For a spirit
or speak to the earth,
and it will teach you.
and it will teach you.
And the fish of the sea
And the fish of the sea,
will explain to you.
it will explain to you.
Who among all these does not know
Who among all these does not know
that the hand of the Lord
that the hand of the Lord
has done this?
has done this? What is the Bible saying? Ask the beast. Ask nature. And they will teach you. What can the beast teach me? Very
Get a
good.
little bit literal here.
I like it. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it literally. Essentially, God is saying you need to observe. Do you agree with that? If you observe the beast, it will teach you. If you observe nature, it will teach you. What will it teach you? Question, since we are on the subject of milk and beef. Have you ever seen a creature that continues to drink milk and nature, other than humans, for the rest of their lives? Raise your hand. For the rest of their lives? No. Have you ever seen that actually feeds its young milk forever? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna make you pause and think. Ask now the beast, and it will teach you. Now, have you ever seen a human? Are you still sucking on your mother's breast? Anybody here still sucking on their mother's breast, except for maybe these two little youngies back there? Why do they suck on their mother's breast? These two little babies there. Why? Colostrum, that's the first milk. But why? Listen, sometimes we overcomplicate things and it's really not. Because they don't have teeth. They can't chew. So what are they getting from their mother's breast? Nutrition, proteins, fats. In the beginning, and even all the way to the end, in some cases, the immune system of the mother is passed down. So which means the blood of the mother is in the milk. Think about this. So now let's look at the cow. When we have the cheese and the dairy, does the cow carry its immune system in the milk? Yes. Can the cow carry disease in the milk?
Yes.
Now, why are you drinking the milk of a cow? Or the cheese of a cow? Well, the goat's no different. We're going to show you how to do plant-based cheese. So, no, just think about it for a second. Just think about this for a second. Well, I'm going to make my own. It's not, and you don't need it. It's a substitute. I don't do those things if I'm at home. But for people who are transitioning, it's a substitute. You don't need them. I eat a whole foods plant-based. In other words, can I explain to you what a whole food plant-based is? You would do olive oil. I would eat the olives. I'm getting the whole foods. I'm getting all the nutrients. You would do coconut oil. I'd rather have the coconut. You would do, give me another one. Coconut milk. I'll just do the coconut. Now, coconut milk is good now, don't get me wrong, right? But the point that I'm making is, originally, when God gave the food to us, it was natural. So why would you need to suck on a cow's breast? Now, let me tell you something else that happens in the U.S. 70% of the antibiotics that is produced in the U.S. are fed to the animals. And you know, we have an issue in this country with people being, there's a resistance with different antibiotics because some physicians, not really good physicians, if you do this, you need to relearn to think. They prescribe these things at the drop of a hat because they have to. You're given this guideline that if they have this, you need to prescribe that. And so what you end up doing when you drink this milk, it is full of hormones. Milk is a highly toxic hormonal fluid. Milk is the most inflammatory fluid you can actually drink. And you don't need it. Look at me. I haven't had it. I hate milk. You know why? I was lactose intolerant. Most African Americans can't even process milk. You know that? More people in the Northern European background can, but still, they have a lot of issues with it too. Right? And then, when I used to drink milk, immediately I would get mucus. That's it. You know why mucus is released? It's your immune system saying, something here don't agree with me. And you get the phlegm and you start doing this. So when you do the 3-day juice detox, I'm going to get all that stuff out of you. And you will not have diarrhea. How is that? Did we go heavy on the ginger, ladies? No garlic. So that's the inflammatory juice. That's garlic, ginger, turmeric, orange, pineapple. Wow. You know what? My general rule is never mix cayenne and ginger together. But if you think you can handle it, then that's on you. I would not do that.
Just because the turmeric seed, so if you have turmeric plus ginger.
Heat. So you have the ginger. Yeah, you already have the ginger. Yeah. No, we don't want to boil it. We're getting raw food right now. What you're getting is a high antioxidant juice, high in vitamins. The only thing that's lacking is the fiber. Now, we do not recommend you do juice for the like for more than 7 days. We recommend you do your juice detox for 1 to 2 days. If you have allergies, you're going to start to feel it draining. It's going to start draining. Yeah. And take that with some quercetin and some local honey within a 100-mile radius of this area. If you have allergies, that's a natural allergy medication. Don't take Zyrtec. Quercetin and zinc. By the way, you can get all your zinc from having 1 avocado a day. Yes, it originates in plants. All the vitamins come from your plants. Yes.
You have to be careful around here with the honey. You don't
Oh.
want to get honey donated to, Fayetteville, Eastern North Carolina.
I did not know.
Forever chemical PFAS.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that. See, I'm from Missouri. We get like the real deal. In fact, in our camp meeting, we teach you how to do honey. Question? He's saying you got to be careful with the honey from this location because there might be some sprays and stuff into
The
it.
Gen X, the was it DuPont?
DuPont's been dumping Gen X into the Cape Fear River for the last 40 years. And so it's actually getting into the plants and the flowers. And the honeybees go and, they grab the nectar from it and they make the honey. So you got to be careful with anything, coming from east of 95.
Move to Missouri. I live in a free state.
Dude, that's really very radioactive material.
Arkansas.
They're underwater.
We have some of the cleanest water where I live. I have water running to my place. But yeah, Arkansas, unfortunately, we do that. Yes. Question. I want to hear more questions. Oh, microphone. Can we get a microphone passer? I'll do it. Question.
For the pineapple juice,
I didn't get a juice, by the way, please. Go ahead.
Will that allergy treatment work for children?
Oh, yeah. So, my son, he still has a little bit of flare-ups, but he had really bad allergies, especially when he was about 1. Thank you, Sister Sandra. So, one time, I literally took him to the hospital thinking this child had COVID. This was in the midst of the whole COVID thing. And, sometimes nurses, they're not very good at assessing their own family members. Sometimes, I'm very good at dealing with things, any emergency. Like I literally was, a nursing supervisor. They would call me for any emergency, and I would go. Nurses, never let anybody see you sweat. I would go in, I would walk, and I would not panic. Everybody would be panicking. I had people coding left and right, all kinds of stuff that we had to do, and I was fine. But if my daughter or my son get a little bit of cut, I freak out. And I have to call my wife. So sometimes it's very difficult. But he had this issue with allergies, and I didn't know. I just was like, what's going on? I thought, Lord, why is he breathing like this? And it was so bad. And then they said, no, he has allergies. And we actually helped him with quercetin, local honey, some of these juices that we make, sometimes cayenne pepper, catnip. And he actually was able to, for the most part, overcome it. I mean, it was really bad at one point. Really, really bad. And I noticed when I gave him, at one point, before I did this, I was giving him the Zyrtec and that stuff. I noticed that he slept horribly. He would wake up drowsy, moody, and I was like, man, this stuff is bad. So I just started to do it naturally, and with God's help, it helped. Yeah.
So I've been on Zyrtec for 30 years.
Wow.
So, because I have really, really bad allergies. Now, I've had 6 surgeries because of that. So I'm actually grateful that I'm actually even here today, because usually I have to stay inside. I can't come out.
It's bad outside right now, too, with the pollen.
So I've been doing much better, but still, I still take Zyrtec every day.
Well, this is going to help you.
Okay.
I did one before I come here.
By the way, do you know what quercetin is? It's an anti-inflammatory. And it comes naturally from the food. So garlic has it, onions has it, the apple has it, but you gotta get the apple that is at the highest point of the tree. And so they sell it. That is one of the only vitamin I would recommend you take if you have allergies. I would get the quercetin. Look it up. Spell with a Q. I believe it's Quuer. Yeah. SCE. Yeah. Quercetin. And it's safe for children. It's natural. It's very, very good for your inflammation. Quuer. CE. I think it's CE RTIN. Yes, CETIN. Yep. Thank you. You try that, and then your local honey. Let me explain to you. Honey does the concept of what vaccines do. Let me explain it to you. Why do they say you should take a vaccine? Because you're actually injecting your body or introducing the virus or whatever it is to the immune system, right? Honey does the same thing. The bees, they go all around your locality and they pollinate the flowers, they help the trees. And so what you're doing is with the honey, you are injecting the allergen that is bothering you from nature into your body. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So get some local honey. Stay within a 100-mile radius. Make sure it says local. Yeah.
When you eat bread, if you do eat bread, what type of bread do you eat?
That's a good question. So we do our own bread. We make everything from scratch. But if I'm going to eat bread, I'm going to make sure it is, the labeling is on point. Probably the safest thing I've seen that you can find consistently everywhere around the U.S. is Ezekiel bread. And some people don't like it. But if you toast it and you put a little bit of almond butter and put a little honey on there, or you do an avocado toast, it's great.
And when you make your own bread, what type of bread do you make?
I use einkorn flour. And or spelt, all right, or kamut. Kamut. K-A-M-U-T. So those are the 3 non-hybridized wheat. And what we're doing right now is a waffle that we're making, which is essentially a flour from brown rice, quinoa, and so on. All right? All right, my wife said we're ready. Stop talking. She always tell me, talk, speak, and work at the same time. But when I'm speaking, I stop.
So you don't use yeast,
I do.
so you're fermenting.
Well, the yeast, I do use the yeast, but I let it sit for 3 days
So you're really.
before I eat it. Yes, I do. Well, I don't, like I said, I don't do the vinegars and the
Right,
stuff.
right.
But the yeast, I do use it, if I'm making bread. But there is, for the most part, I don't use it. So that's why I said, give or take. What I'm giving you is, there are people who actually buy the vinegar itself and they put that in their food and they drink it. I don't. The yeast, for me, it's something that I'm getting away from more and more, but I'm not going to say I don't do it, because sometimes I do it. But I let it sit.
How do you let it sit?
Well, because it's still live. Yeah. No, even after, it takes about 3 days to kind of simmer down. Yeah. But our bread that we make is this bread right now that you're eating has no yeast in it. Okay? If I'm making a pizza, there are some things that I'm still not ready to give. Like the pizza, I'll put some little bit of yeast in it. But it's probably not the best thing. Okay?
Yeah, you gotta let that sit for a few days to let it build up the flavor and depth.
Yeah. It rises and stuff. So it does a little bit ferments, but not like your vinegar, which is wholly different. Any other question?
Just one.
Yes. You don't need a mic.
I love fish, but what do I replace fish with?
Oh, I make fish with tofu and seaweed. And I take beet juice and I give it that pink fish color, and I season my beet juice, and I will make the fish for you and you won't even know you're not eating fish.
And I will still get my omega-3.
Well, you will get your omega-3 from flaxseed, chia seed, walnuts. You don't need the omega-3. So when I do my diabetes presentation, I'm going to show you that the amount of omega-3 that is in fish doesn't even come close to what you're going to get from the other stuff. It's a very small amount. And not to mention you're getting mercury, you're getting all this other stuff, right, that you don't want. So we can get the omega-3 fatty acids from those foods that have actually, I think I showed the foods you can get the omega-3s from. Omega-3s, where were you? Okay, well, I think it's somewhere. Anyways, I think you can get it from walnuts, pumpkin seeds. By the way, pumpkin seeds and chia seeds and flax seeds are 3 of the main food groups that men you especially want to boost on. Okay? When you enjoy the marriage privileges and you have a climax, men, I'm talking to the men now. Do you know what you lose? He said he's single. Okay.
Energy.
You lose energy. But what's in the energy you're losing? For the most part.
Protein.
There's proteins, a very high content of protein. What else? Zinc. Thank you. So, wives, I'm talking to the ladies now. You're supposed to give the man time to rebound and relax. Who said 10 minutes? Show's over. Oh, Lord. Oh, mercy. You're in trouble. She said 10 minutes. All right. In all reality, it takes time to build that back up. In a lot of cases, we end up with prostate issues and various issues, like that, because we are overworking, overstimulating. And so what you need every day, in your case, You need to make him this remedy. 2 bananas, frozen. What I'm giving you here is a erectile dysfunction recipe. Stamina recipe. Don't worry, you're coming. That's not. I mean, he's getting there. All right. Okay. So listen, you guys are getting me in trouble. Okay. 2 frozen bananas. Okay. What is that going to give you? Potassium. What else? Magnesium. Think about it. We're working with the muscle, right? Remember when I studied the muscle way back when? What does the muscle need to function? It needs calcium, magnesium. So we want this muscle to work properly. Then we're going to add a cup of either coconut milk or soy milk. And I wish I bought the soy milk that I showed you yesterday. How many ingredients was in my soy milk? 2. Soy and water was the only ingredient. And my wife makes her own soy milk. Very easy. All right? So you choose your milk. You add a little bit of honey or maple syrup. No white sugar. No brown sugar. No agave. I know it's low on glycemic index, but it's not the best. Then, I'll talk about it when we talk about diabetes. And then you're going to add a little bit of walnuts or Brazil nut. Now, if a woman has issue with fertility problem, or a man has issue with fertility issue, you want to give them 2 to 3 Brazil nuts a day. Okay? It's going to help. And then you're going to put a teaspoon of spirulina in there. That's going to give you a high content of zinc and various other minerals, because you know it needs minerals to function. And then you're going to add a handful of raw pumpkin seeds and a teaspoon of flax seeds. That is a very potent smoothie to make for men's health issues. And I think we're going to make that this week at some point. All right? And we'll have one for women too, for PMS and hormonal imbalances and things like that. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's come up this way, everybody. We're ready. Any other questions? All right. The waffle, everybody. Come over this way. If you want, you can come up. Just don't block everybody. All right. Look at your recipe right here, everybody. Come over or turn your chair around, whatever you'd like. All right. Come on over this way. All right. All right, honey, you're going to need to help me here. So she's busy. I'll talk. All right. So this is the ingredients you need for your waffle. All right. So for your waffle, you have walnuts. Is it on your ingredient list? And there, you have a choice. You have long grain brown rice. You have, this is what red lentil is. I say red lentil, this is one of the best things to make soup with. One of these days I'll make a red lentil soup with it. Oh my. Within 3 minutes it's cooked. It's not like the other lentils. And it's so flavorful.
And you don't have to add anything to it.
Yeah, it's the
You can put a little
best.
salt.
Yeah, it's the best. Red lentil. Honey, what is this? Quinoa?
Millet.
Millet. This is millet. Look at all these beautiful things that you guys never use, huh? That God has made for you. What's this? Sunflower seeds. What did I say sunflower seeds contain? All 9 essential amino acids, which makes it a complete protein. Then you have oats. You guys come on up. You gotta see this. We're gonna make it for you. You have oats. And you have soy. Now you don't need to add this. And then you have coconut shreds. What you're gonna do is you're gonna add everything in a Vitamix, and you have the measurement in your recipe. Now you can take that recipe and cut it in half because that's gonna yield a lot. And it looks like this. You're gonna wash it, everybody. The babies are hungry. You gotta feed the babies. You're gonna wash it, and then you're gonna soak it overnight. And it's gonna look like this. Okay?
Is that all the ingredients all together?
This is all the ingredients. And sometimes my wife adds almonds instead of walnut. And then you're going to blend it, and it's going to give you a batter. Everybody, come see this. That looks like this. I think my wife probably will tell me. I think, yeah, she adds it. So it's a waffle batter. Okay. Honey, do we add water to this? Yes? They want to know if we add water to it.
Yes.
Now, you need a Vitamix because those ninjas ain't going to do it.
Oh, Vitamix is it.
By the way, everybody, if you're going to be doing this, your first purchase is a set of these and a Vitamix. You know this blender right here? Vitamix is made in the USA. You know, back in the day when they told you something was made in the USA, you knew it was going to last. Yeah, and again, this is a fact. Okay? This is made in Ohio. Guess how many maintenance persons they have on their staff? 4. This product goes all over the world. In fact, I have one from the 1980s. I have one from the 90s. They weren't mine. Somebody just gave them something. They do not break down. When you buy this, it will last you 40, 50, 60 years.
You will.
And if something happens, you call the company, they'll give you a new one or they replace the part that needs to be fixed.
You know, I had something wrong with mine. I couldn't figure out what it was.
This is the principle.
I couldn't figure out what it was because it seemed like it was getting oily on the bottom, and I called him up. I said, there's something going wrong with my Vitamix. It's got an oily thing. It's just splattered and everything. He said, it's an enclosed motor. It's not that. It's a cracked jar. I said, really? I said, what do I do? He said, I'll send you one. What's your address?
Yeah.
A couple days later, a week or so, got a new jar. Bing, done.
I also had an issue with one of mine. I was using it. And what happened is, this is the gear. There's a gear. The gear kind of ran, I used it so much that it gave out. And they're like, well, I'll send you a new one. So they sent me this part, and then they instructed me how to put it in, and it was fixed. Okay? This, you're going to spend about, the cheapest, about $400 to $500 on.
Right.
They can go up to as much as $2,000 to $3,000. But, this is what, all right. I want us to think for a second. Would you rather buy something for cheap that falls apart every 2 years than you have to buy another one? See, if you think about it psychologically, you're spending more money because you have to buy another one and another one and another one. You buy this, it's a little pricey, but you have it for life. So what's better? Quality is always better. Okay? So, you're going to need a Vitamix. Do not waste money on, I won't say that. If you're going to buy another one, I would go with, what's the second one? The Blendtec.
I'm just saying.
I'd go with the Blendtec. What we're going to use today, too, is our heavy-duty salad master. This actually comes can come with the pot set. But what we're going to use today is the Salad Master. Anybody ever heard of the Salad Master? Yeah. This is the Salad Master. This is a T30316 titanium steel pot. This is the one that I told you the smallest set is about 5,000, and the more expensive set is about 23,000. I'm going to talk about that when we talk about heavy metal toxicity this week. Okay, honey. All right, I showed them already. So you want to? So you're gonna show them how to? Yeah. So my wife's gonna blend a little bit, right?
Yes, in the recipe, right?
Yes, it's in the recipe. She's shy, so I'll speak for her. Okay. So what she's doing is she's adding all of the stuff in her blender. And by the way, the typical blender cannot do this job. If you use one of those blenders with the key on there that you're punching, it's literally gonna light on fire because it just cannot handle this. The Vitamix will. So she's adding.
I did not soak this one because it's this is different. This is flake.
Okay, coconut flakes. Yeah.
It's already like fine.
Yes.
So I just shred it.
And this will add to its flakiness. Also, if you're making a oat waffle, anybody ever make oat waffles? You take oat and you blend it with water, salt, and then you put the coconut shreds in there. It's fluffy. It's more chewy. This one is going to be a little bit harder because it's a lot more actual grains. That's soybeans. So what she's adding is a little bit of honey, but I don't like to add that sometimes because it's up because it gives it a little bit of a darker color and it looks almost burnt. I don't know if I like to add it afterwards.
If you are gluten free, just eliminate this.
Oh, soy free, yeah. No, it does. So if some of these sometimes will have the gluten in it. Yeah, but soy is not. Yeah, it's just soy. Some people don't like the soy, but.
I just add 2 cups of water.
So 2 cups of water.
Just cover the thing.
And a half a bottle of water. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she is making the gluten-free waffle. Check out the batter.
If it's too liquid, just add quick oats.
All right.
I use this one and then I just soak it because this is like the old-fashioned.
So for your waffle recipe, you need your walnuts, your brown rice, your red lentil, your millet, your sunflower seeds, your oats, and your soybeans. And let me see the waffle, honey. All right. So if we cannot add the honey.
Some of the
Yeah. So here's your waffles, which we're gonna have. Probably shouldn't add. Yeah. So we have a better waffle maker at home that actually is a double-sided. That does it much more quicker. But we have to use what we have here. Okay. All right. So, any question on the waffle?
You said you added rice?
brown
Yes,
rice.
right here. Brown rice.
That long rice.
So, think about this. For a diabetic, oh, there's a good waffle. Check out. And it's heavy. And it's gluten-free.
Heavy means fulfilling.
Heavy means fulfilling. When I eat this waffle in the morning, when my wife makes this, and what I'll add on it is blueberries, strawberries, a little bit of maple syrup, or sometimes I'll do a chia seed pudding on the side. This will hold you for 5 hours. You will not be hungry. Think about all the nutrients you're getting in your food. Versus when you go to the store, you buy the waffle batter. What's in it?
Flour.
Pure white flour. You eat that 2 hours later, what happens? You're hungry. And so what we are doing is we are eating for strength and not for drunkenness. Right.
So
No
for
drunkenness.
like teenagers.
I'm going to make the cheese now, honey. Can I have
Yeah,
the
I'm
cheese?
gonna watch it for you.
For teenagers, it's very good. I've had several teenagers, we have a candy. They're like, wow, these are the best waffles. So for him, you're going to get them with the maple syrup on top. You can add raisins on top. You can add fresh mangoes. You can add bananas. You understand? So he's getting a full meal. And he's going to go to school or whatever. He's not going to be hungry by lunchtime. All right?
What to replace the syrup with?
The maple syrup?
Yes, honey, the usual.
My go-to is honey or maple syrup or date syrup. So your dates is going to be in your cheesecake. Do we have a cheesecake yet? We have it there. Okay, so what are we going to make next? So next, I'm going to actually make the cheese because this is my recipe. So, all right, if you want, I'm going to wash my hands and put on gloves. So yeah, there's two kinds of maple syrup. You have grade A and grade B. All right? I believe, don't quote me, I believe that grade, somebody look it up. I think it's grade A that's better. What does that say on it? Does it say grade A or grade B? Grade, what grade? That's grade A. So a grade B, I think it's a better one. I'm not, I think, don't quote me. I forget some of this stuff sometimes. So, you want me to do this? Okay. So what I'm gonna do is a natural cheese. Okay? Everybody see this? I'm gonna make cheese. So I need my seasonings. I need salt. I need a little bit of coconut milk. And I need, ladies.
I'm gonna put the lasagna. What's the lasagna?
Yeah, it's right there. The lasagna. Okay, who has the lasagna box? Somebody was reading it. Please bring it here.
Oh, there.
Can I have some, ladies, can I get a half an onion and a few garlic? Please. Half onion and a few, one or two garlic cloves. Sister, sus. Okay. All right. For my season, I got a little bit of cayenne pepper. You guys are writing it down? This is not on the menu. This is an extra. This is a bonus. What I'm making here is a cheese. All right? So some people have issues with these. All right? Now, I'm going to say this. If you're going to buy cheese, it's a really hard buy, right? For me personally, I find that this is a better brand. I'm not saying it's 100% the best. It is a better brand. But if I don't want to use that brand, I can make my own cheese for my lasagna or for my nacho cheese or for my chips and dip. Okay? So what I'm going to do is potatoes and carrots. You see that? Potatoes and carrots. I want you guys to come over here and see me make this cheese. Coconut milk I need. Garlic. So we're going to use about a half a can of coconut milk.
Are the potatoes and carrots raw?
The potatoes and carrots are boiled. Coconut milk. Someone, please. It's in one of those boxes that we bought. All right, there it goes. Thank you. All right.
How many of these?
The ladies have been working hard. Give them a hand. They're tired. I'm just talking. That's easy to do. So, you know, sometimes real chefs, and I'm not a real chef, they don't measure. So I kind of know from doing this for years what to do, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do about half a can of coconut milk. Make sure you get the BPA-free cans. And make sure there's no added sugars and it's organic. Half a can of coconut milk. Y'all ready? Now, the reason why I'm using the carrots is simply to give it color. So you want a 4-to-1 ratio, meaning I want more potatoes, less carrots. All right? What I'm going to do additionally is to add color to my cheese is I'm going to put a half of a bell pepper. All right? Into it. Here's my potatoes. And you want Irish potatoes or white potatoes. You do not want sweet potatoes. You want sweet potatoes when you bake. So less carrots, more potatoes. Okay? Just remember that. I'm going to make a big batch. It's an extra. Now, I like seasons. So I'm going to do about a teaspoon and a half of the salt. And then I'm going to do, now, does anybody use nutritional yeast?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't. A little bit of cayenne pepper. I have a really good study on nutritional yeast too, and how it actually can damage the brain. That's garlic powder. So that is, I just put a little, a pinch. You gotta be careful with the cayenne, especially if you got children who's gonna eat. Now, this is key. Fresh garlic, fresh onions.
Cayenne, garlic.
About 2 or 3 cloves. The more garlic, the better for me. I don't know about you. Garlic can be used 2 ways. It can be used for culinary purposes, in which you fry it, and it smells, it gives you that beautiful aroma. But you've destroyed the properties. Or you can use it for medicinal purposes, like I'm doing right now. Okay?
How much onion you said?
About a half an onion. And I really love smoked paprika. And I know I'm in the South, so you guys like your seasons.
Was the other powder onion powder or garlic powder?
The other powder was garlic powder. I put fresh onion in there. Okay. What else am I missing? Cayenne, I don't want cayenne in there. The only thing I would add to this, to my cheese, otherwise, is a little bit of turmeric. Yes. Where is it? Did we miss that one?
Oh,
Thank you. Now, we want to use turmeric. We don't want to use curry. It's full of black pepper. Sometimes, for taste, I'll put a, well, I won't talk about that. So, we're going to make our cheese now, okay? Now, for those of you who've been eating lots of salty foods, it may not be up to par for you, so you can add a little bit more salt to it. But I really like the Celtic salt because it's just that good. The Vitamix also will help to heat some of this stuff. This blender is awesome. It does everything. I need the plunger, I think.
No liquid.
So the Vitamix, I'm glad they're gonna see this too. So the Vitamix is an awesome blender because it comes with a plunger. And that plunger, when you're having trouble blending, you can use the plunger. The other thing too is, if it gets overheated, it will shut down automatically. And you'll be like, oh, my blender's broken, but it's not. Wait 10 minutes, let it rest, and you'll start it up again. So it's smart. what you can do with your cheese, you can use it fresh. So my wife, I guess we should have probably discussed this. So we're making our lasagna right now. So as you can see, this actually lasagna can be done in 20 minutes. So in all actuality, the lecture took a long time, but this meal should take us about 45 minutes to make. So these pots is gonna save you time. So what you're gonna do is, you're gonna line the bottom of your lasagna with some sauce, all right? And the best sauce you're gonna get, probably out there, is probably this one. You're going to add the pasta, which is the gluten-free rice, brown rice pasta. And then you're gonna add whatever veggies you want. Now, I want to show them this. So, everybody, this is my handy salad master, right? So, do we have my stuff so I can, so, yeah, that one, did we prepare, did you guys see this? Okay. Do we have another one? I want them to see the process. So this is one of the one of the stuff you can have with your pot set. And I'm gonna make a raw salad. So I need one of the helpers to actually take this and wash it and peel it for me, please. This set comes with different settings. Can I show the different settings that comes in it? Does this come with it? Oh, sorry. All right, I was like, wait a minute. Okay. So, depending on what you want, if you want it smaller, you change your setting. But this allows you to prepare your veggies very quickly, okay? Now, some people say put it in here. You guys see this? So I'm making my raw salad. Or, now, this is not the real one. This is a knockoff. When we got here, we realized we forgot ours, so we had to order this on Amazon, so it came just in time. All right? But you're supposed to go like this. You gotta be careful that you don't. Then, your carrots. You can change your setting however you want. Usually this actually, yeah, this is not ours. It's definitely, you got it, honey? So you don't have to chop veggies, right? Because you're plant-based and you don't want to spend all this time chopping. You just want something that's going to work for you.
Oh, it's not suctioning on the table.
Yeah, because it can't.
Yeah, the cape, it's supposed to suction on your table. See that? And it actually holds it. And then you actually go and chop whatever you need up with it. We do a good job with these squash because that's going to be good in your lasagna as well, right? But what we're doing right now is our raw salad. And the beetroot is coming? No, that's for my raw salad. So while she's doing this, what I'm doing is she's going to do the lasagna.
So this is the lasagna.
Yeah, that's the lasagna.
That's a rich.
And I know you guys are hungry, right?
Ooh. Let's go with these.
So we've made the cheese. So she's doing the lasagna. Remember, this is going to be done in the pan. We're not going to bake this.
Oh.
And it's going to be done within 25 minutes. Okay?
Steam.
Yes. Anybody want to try the cheese?
Steam.
Do we have tasters? I don't know what that's.
Steam lasagna.
Anybody want a piece of waffle?
Yes.
Now imagine this has. Oh, thank you. I've only got one more piece left. You guys can share it. Now remember, this would have your honey would be dressed really nicely. Okay. Look at the cheese, y'all. We just made. And when I dress it up for you, you'll be surprised. Look at the cheese I just made.
But they'll eat it.
No? You can freeze it, or you can use it like that. This is like nacho cheese. All right? So I didn't put a lot of salt in it, but you can add whatever seasoning you want to it. So put your finger on one side. Do we have a spoon or something? I don't know how to do this. So it's not. It's how to do it hygienically. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Okay. So for the lasagna, look this, y'all. She's putting the cheese on the lasagna.